A black waitress is dismissed after assisting Elon Musk, but the following day, her life takes a dramatic turn. The sun softly illuminated the streets, casting its golden rays on the cobblestone paths of a city enjoying an unusually slow pace. A gentle breeze wafted through, carrying the delicate scent of flowers from nearby gardens. Elon Musk, a name synonymous with innovation and wealth, had stepped away from his world of luxury offices and high-powered meetings. Today, he sought something entirely different: freedom, unburdened by fame or the harsh glare of the spotlight. His attire was so understated that few would recognize him: a neatly pressed checkered shirt, well-fitted jeans, and a baseball cap partially concealing his face. No bodyguards flanked him, and no luxury vehicles trailed behind. It was just Elon, walking alone down the cobblestone streets. He paused in front of a quaint little cafe named Cozy Brew, an inviting corner nestled beneath the canopy of trees. There was no particular reason he chose this cafe, just the sense of comfort and familiarity it exuded. As he pushed open the wooden door, a small bell jingled softly, announcing his arrival. Inside, the cafe exuded warmth, with polished wooden tables, golden light bathing the interior, and the soft hum of jazz music filling the air. A few patrons glanced up as the door opened, their eyes briefly resting on the unfamiliar man before returning to their conversations and coffee. No one realized they were in the presence of one of the world's wealthiest individuals. Elon chose a table by the window, where the sunlight streamed in, casting soft patterns on the wooden surface. A friendly server approached, her smile warm and welcoming. "Good morning. What can I get for you today?" she asked. Elon returned the smile, his deep voice steady. "A black coffee, please, and an apple pie, if you have any." "Of course. I'll bring that right out," she responded, turning away to fulfill his order. Elon nodded slightly, his gaze drifting towards the window. The peaceful street outside radiated a calm he rarely experienced. Lost in thought, he pondered, if I weren't Elon Musk, how different would my life be? Could I walk freely, talk to strangers without the fear of being recorded or photographed? Maybe simplicity is the greatest luxury of all. Despite these thoughts, Elon felt no resentment. He believed everyone has a mission, and his was to propel the world forward. Yet, even those on grand missions need moments of reprieve to savor the simpler things in life. As he took another bite of his pie, a faint smile crossed his lips, unaware that this tranquil Sunday morning was about to take a dramatic turn. Life has its ways of testing you, even when you're just sipping coffee, he mused. The soft ambience of the cafe was suddenly disrupted by the distant roar of motorcycles, growing louder by the second. The cafe's door swung open forcefully, the bell overhead jangling like a warning. 5 men, clad in black leather jackets and ripped jeans, strode in, their tattoos and the sharp scents of gasoline and cigarettes filling the air. Their loud chatter drowned out the soothing jazz. Other patrons and staff cast quick, nervous glances their way, then swiftly averted their eyes, not wanting to draw attention. At the far end, Elon remained calm, taking another sip of his coffee, seemingly unaffected by the commotion. Among the bikers, the leader stood out, a tall man with a skull tattoo on his forearm, named Roy. His gaze locked onto Elon, sitting quietly in the corner. A sly grin spread across Roy's face. "Well, well, a lonely guy sipping black coffee. Looks like you've wandered into the wrong place, pal," Roy sneered. Receiving no response, Roy shrugged and sauntered toward Elon's table. "Hey, buddy, lost in thought? Or are you one of those brooding writer types?" Elon raised his head, his gaze steady and composed. His voice, low and calm, carried a hint of authority. "Just enjoying a quiet Sunday. Maybe you should do the same instead of making a scene." Roy paused, the grin faltering before he broke into loud laughter, signaling his crew to join in. "Enjoying yourself, huh? Let's help you enjoy it a little more," Roy jeered, reaching for Elon's slice of pie and twirling it mockingly. Elon, unfazed, set his coffee down gently, his eyes fixed on Roy. "If you've picked it up, eat it. But remember, it's not free." Roy's laughter paused momentarily, as though the words had hit a nerve. Another biker, smaller but with a fiercer demeanor, chimed in. "This guy's got some nerve, doesn't he? But do you think confidence alone will save you?" The cafe's once relaxed atmosphere turned tense. A few customers quietly rose from their seats, slipping out to avoid any potential trouble. A young woman whispered to her friend, "Let's go. We shouldn't get involved." Meanwhile, an older man at the counter sighed, shaking his head. "This won't end well," he muttered. Behind the counter, Anna, the young server, stood frozen, watching the scene escalate with her heart pounding. No one in the cafe dared to intervene. Roy leaned in closer, tapping his fingers on the table, his smirk broadening. "So, who are you, really? You don't seem to fit in here, or maybe you're just hiding from something," he taunted. Elon met Roy's gaze, his eyes piercing as if looking right through him. He calmly sipped his coffee before responding, his voice low but filled with an unyielding authority. "Does it matter who I am? If you can't respect others, maybe this isn't the place for you." Elon's words were like fuel to a fire. Roy shot up from his seat, slamming his hand onto the table with a loud thud that echoed through the cafe, making the remaining patrons uneasy. Just as the tension was about to explode, a voice rang out from behind the counter. Anna, her voice trembling yet resolute, commanded, "Stop it. No one is allowed to harass our customers here." All eyes turned toward Anna, the petite yet determined young woman now standing face to face with the imposing biker group. Though her body trembled, her resolve was unmistakable. She knew she couldn't just stand by. With a firm but not overly loud voice, she continued, "This is a cafe, not a place for trouble. If you'd like to order something, I'd be happy to serve you. But if you keep disturbing our customers, I'll have to ask you to leave." Roy, surprised and amused, lifted his head. "Well, look at this. A little server playing sheriff," he sneered, turning to his group with a laugh that echoed throughout the cafe. "Did you hear that? She's asking us to leave." A shorter biker with a menacing air clapped slowly in sarcastic applause. "Brave, huh? But I don't think you want to get involved in this, little girl," he mocked. Anna took a deep breath, her voice steady despite the slight tremble in her hands. "I don't care what you think of me," she declared. "Everyone here deserves respect. You have no right to disturb them, and you certainly have no right to harass that customer." Roy crossed his arms, raising an eyebrow in mock surprise. "That customer?" he scoffed, gesturing towards Elon. "You mean this guy? Sitting there quietly, not saying a word, and you think he needs protecting? Come on, little girl, don't play the hero. It's not worth it." Anna glanced at Elon, who remained calm, his expression unshaken. But as their eyes met, a glimmer of respect shone in his gaze, giving Anna the courage to persist. With firm resolve, she stated, "Maybe he doesn't need my protection, but no one deserves to be treated like this, no matter who they are." The cafe seemed to hold its breath. A few patrons nodded quietly, admiration in their eyes, though not everyone agreed. Near the counter, an older man muttered, "Brave, sure, but she's inviting trouble." Roy stepped closer, his gaze sharp and piercing. "And what if I don't leave? What are you going to do? Call the cops?" he sneered, looking her up and down with a mocking smirk. "Or do you think I'll listen just because you're acting tough?" The soft sound of a coffee cup being placed on the table broke the tense silence. Elon had set his mug down deliberately, the faint clink resonating through the heavy air. He raised his head, his voice calm but deliberate. "I think she's doing the right thing, and if you're smart, you'll listen to her." Roy whipped around, his face contorting in anger at being interrupted. "And who the hell do you think you are to tell me what to do?" Elon stood, not as physically imposing as Roy, but his confidence filled the room. "I'm someone who believes that kindness and respect matter more than strength," Elon said steadily. "You might not care about that, but I know she's right, and you're wrong." Roy glared at Elon, his fists clenching tightly, ready to explode. Another biker, unable to contain his temper, snapped. "Enough of this. I can't stand this fake high and mighty crap anymore," he snarled, lunging forward to shove Elon. "Stop it!" Anna's sharp voice rang out, just as the wail of police sirens pierced the tense air outside. A staff member had discreetly called the authorities. 2 officers entered the cafe, quickly assessing the scene and gesturing for the bikers to stand down. Roy let out a derisive snort but held his tongue. One of the bikers, defiant, earned himself a pair of handcuffs before being led out. The rest received stern warnings and begrudgingly left. As the bikers exited, the heavy atmosphere lingered. Anna stood frozen, gripping her serving tray tightly as the weight of the room's eyes bore down on her. Elon approached her, his voice warm and sincere. "Thank you. You've taught me something not everyone understands. Sometimes, doing the right thing isn't easy. But it's always worth it," Elon said softly. Anna offered a faint smile, her hands still trembling slightly, though her gaze remained steady. "I just think this world needs more people like you," she said, "and fewer people like them." As the police escorted the aggressive bikers out, an eerie silence settled over the cafe. The remaining customers exchanged uneasy glances, their expressions a mixture of relief and bewilderment. The once peaceful cafe now felt like it had weathered a storm. Anna remained frozen, her serving tray trembling in her hands. Her heart raced, not with fear, but with a hollow sense of isolation. She knew she had done the right thing, but doubts gnawed at her. Would anyone else see it that way? Near the door, a woman leaned toward her friend, her voice tinged with annoyance. "What a hassle," she muttered. "This place used to be so quiet. Now it's anything but relaxing." "Exactly," her friend agreed. "Nobody wants this kind of drama on a Sunday morning." At a nearby table, an elderly man, his hand trembling, clutched his coffee cup. His voice was louder, laced with disapproval. She didn't have to get involved. All she did was make things worse. If she'd just let them be, it would have been over quickly. The murmurs were like sharp knives cutting into Anna's chest. She held her head high, struggling to maintain her composure, but her eyes betrayed the sting of their words. She hadn't expected praise, but she had hoped for understanding. Behind the counter, Mr. Smith, the middle-aged owner of the cafe, stepped forward. His salt-and-pepper hair and hurried demeanor gave him the look of a man constantly juggling too many tasks. He noticed the dissatisfied glances from some customers and frowned deeply. "Anna, I need a word with you," he said, his voice firm. Without waiting for her response, he turned and headed toward the back of the cafe, signaling for her to follow. Anna followed him into the back, away from the customers, though his frustration was clear. "What were you thinking?" he asked, his voice carrying through the small space. "This is a cafe, not a police station or a stage for heroics. Customers come here for peace, not chaos." Her voice was small but steady. "I just wanted to protect him," Anna replied. "He didn't do anything wrong." Mr. Smith sighed, running a hand through his hair. "I know, but you have to understand. Our customers come here for comfort, for quiet. And now look at this." Half of them walked out. "This place isn't relaxing anymore. That's what we sell here, Comfort, not trouble. Anna bit her lip, struggling to hold back her emotions. His words, though cold, weren't entirely untrue, but they didn't make them easier to hear. Her voice trembled. "So you're saying I shouldn't have done anything? That I should have just let them harass someone?" Mr. Smith sighed again, more heavily this time. "I'm not saying that. But you can't handle things like this. It's not professional. Actions like that could cost us even more customers." Anna didn't respond immediately, the weight of his words sinking in. There was an unspoken divide between the principles she believed in and the practicalities her boss prioritized. Her silence was a quiet clash between what's right and what's convenient. Finally, Mr. Smith shook his head. "I can't let this happen again. If anything like this happens in the future, focus on your job, serving the customers. No more interference. Clear?" Anna lowered her head, her voice barely audible. "Yes, I understand." As Mr. Smith walked away, Anna stood motionless, emotions crashing over her. She didn't regret doing the right thing, but the reprimand and cold stares made her feel lonelier than ever. Returning to the counter, she resumed her work, keeping her head down, her eyes occasionally darting toward Elon's table. When the cafe began to settle, Elon stood and walked slowly toward Anna, his steps measured and purposeful. His voice was warm and steady. "Are you all right?" Startled, Anna looked up, surprised by the concern in his eyes. She nodded, forcing a faint smile. "I'm fine, thank you." Elon held her gaze, his eyes reflecting deep respect. "What you did today. Not everyone has the courage to do that. Thank you, not just for standing up for me, but for doing the right thing, even when no one else dared." Anna lowered her head slightly, her voice soft. Anna's voice was firm. "I just couldn't stand by. Everyone deserves to be treated with kindness. You know that better than anyone." Elon smiled faintly, though a hint of thoughtfulness lingered in his expression. "You're right. You reminded me that in a chaotic world, sometimes all it takes is one act of kindness to change everything." As Elon returned to his table, the cafe remained tense. Some customers began to leave, their expressions ranging from irritation to indifference. Near the door, a woman shot Anna a withering glare before stepping outside. Behind the counter, Mr. Smith sighed heavily, shaking his head as he stared at the empty chairs left behind. Anna stared at her hands, her emotions swirling in a storm of conflict, regret, pride, and a deep sadness that weighed heavily on her chest. Elon left the cafe shortly after, saying nothing more. As he walked out the door, he turned back one last time, his eyes resting on Anna. It was a look of quiet admiration, a silent acknowledgment of the courage it took to stand tall in the face of adversity. Monday morning brought warm sunlight streaming through the windows of Cozy Brew, painting the cafe with a familiar glow. Customers came and went as usual, but the atmosphere felt heavier, laden with the memory of the previous day's events. Anna stepped into the cafe, her eyes tired from a sleepless night. She told herself to focus on her tasks, to stay busy and not dwell on what had happened. Yet, no matter how hard she tried, she couldn't shake the quiet sadness that lingered in her chest. The soft chime of the cafe door rang out suddenly. A sleek luxury car had just pulled up in front of the cafe, drawing the attention of everyone inside. All heads turned toward the entrance. This time, Elon Musk didn't walk in wearing jeans or a baseball cap. Instead, he entered the cafe dressed in a tailored suit, exuding confidence and authority. Despite his commanding presence, he still carried an air of approachability. 2 bodyguards flanked him, standing at either side of the door, emphasizing that this was no ordinary customer. The atmosphere in the cafe shifted instantly. Conversations near the door ceased, and all eyes were drawn to the powerful figure who had just stepped inside. Elon walked straight toward the counter, where Anna stood behind the espresso machine. Her heart began to race, a flood of thoughts running through her mind. Why is he here? Is he upset about what happened yesterday? When Elon stopped in front of her, his gaze was serious but not unkind. "Anna," he said, "yesterday you did something not many people would have the courage to do. You weren't just brave. You demonstrated something this world desperately needs: integrity." Anna froze, unable to speak. She didn't know how to respond, but the emotion in her eyes spoke volumes. Elon's voice carried a quiet strength that commanded the attention of the entire cafe. Even those who had initially tried to avoid staring now leaned in, listening intently. "I'm not here just to thank you," Elon continued. "I'm here to extend an invitation. Tesla is always searching for people who are willing to stand up for what's right. I'd like to invite you to join our Social Welfare Foundation. There, you can continue to uphold the values you believe in, not just in a small cafe, but on a much larger scale." The cafe fell silent. Anna stared at Elon, her thoughts swirling. She had never dreamed that her actions, taken in a moment of courage, could lead to something so extraordinary. The entire cafe seemed to hold its breath. Anna struggled to find her voice. I don't know what to say, but I'm deeply grateful for this opportunity. I'll do my very best." Elon smiled softly, his expression warm and kind. Sometimes, all the world needs is for someone to stand up at the right moment. Yesterday, you did exactly that. Behind the counter, Mr. Smith stood frozen, his face pale. He couldn't believe that the man Anna had defended yesterday was someone as influential as Elon Musk. The other customers, one by one, began to look at Anna differently. If they had doubted or criticized her actions yesterday, now their gazes were filled with admiration and even a tinge of regret. Near the door, a woman leaned toward her friend and whispered, "She's truly brave. I feel terrible for judging her yesterday." "Me too," her friend replied. "I wish I had the courage to do what she did." Before leaving, Elon turned and looked around the cafe. His gaze was steady, his voice calm yet full of weight. Freedom is not just the right to do as you please, but the responsibility to stand up for what is right. If we fail to act against injustice, can we truly call ourselves free? His words echoed through the room, leaving everyone silent, as if each word had etched itself into their minds. Elon left the cafe, but his presence left a lasting imprint. Anna watched him go, her heart swelling with hope. Yesterday, she had thought of herself as just a small cafe worker. Today, she realized that even the smallest actions could lead to profound change. Mr. Smith approached Anna, his voice lower, his eyes reflecting remorse. "Anna, I owe you an apology. Yesterday, I failed to see what you did. I'm proud to have an employee like you." For the first time in days, Anna smiled, a genuine smile that lifted the weight from her heart. She stepped out of the cafe, ready to embark on a new chapter of her life. She left behind her old workplace but carried with her a powerful lesson. Standing up for what's right, even just once, can change everything. The world doesn't need perfect people. It needs brave ones. And sometimes, it all begins with a single cup of coffee. Overview **. A young black waitress, Anna, faces a life-changing moment when she stands up to a group of aggressive bikers harassing a quiet customer in the cafe where she works. Little did she know, that customer was none other than Elon Musk. When Anna defends him, her actions not only challenge the tension in the room but also cost her job. However, the next day, she receives an unexpected offer from Elon Musk himself, inviting her to join Tesla's Social Welfare Foundation, a chance to continue fighting for what's right on a larger scale. As her life takes a dramatic turn, Anna learns that even the smallest acts of courage can lead to extraordinary opportunities. Don't forget to like thumbs up, subscribe bell, comment speech balloon, and share mobile phone with arrow.